How do you become truly dangerous without raising your voice, without making threats, and without saying a single word? That's the question. It's not a fantasy. It's not a psychological trick. And it's not about intimidation through volume or violence. It's about something far more powerful: your presence, your control, your ability to be completely unshakable in a world that feeds off noise and emotional chaos. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stood across from someone who didn't say much but somehow made you nervous? They didn't threaten you. They didn't insult you. They didn't even flinch, and yet they made your instincts scream. This person cannot be moved. That's not arrogance. That's not anger. That's calm dominance. And when your enemies feel that energy in you, they begin to fear what you might do, even if you say nothing at all. Why silence is more terrifying than sound. Lions don't roar before they strike. They stalk. They observe. They wait. The real threat isn't the animal baring its teeth. It's the one whose eyes never leave you. Because when someone is still, but fully in control, you can't predict them. And the unknown is the most terrifying force in the human mind. Now think of a grandmaster at a chessboard. They're not rattled. They don't speak. They watch. They think. And the more silent they are, the more pressure their opponent feels. Because uncertainty is its own kind of weapon. That's what we're talking about here. Stoic strategy. Tactical silence. Calm power. The myth of loud power. We've been conditioned to associate power with noise, the loudest voice in the room, the person who speaks the most, the one who shows off, interrupts, demands attention. But let's be honest, those people are rarely respected. They're tolerated. They're seen, but they are not feared. Why? Because deep down, everyone knows, if you have to scream to be heard, you're not in control. Real power is quiet. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need approval. It moves like a shadow, disciplined, unpredictable, undeniable. And when you embody that kind of strength, people don't just respect you. They fear crossing you because they can't read you. They can't shake you. They don't know what you'll do next, and in that uncertainty, you win. The Stoic blueprint for silent strength. The Stoics weren't warriors with weapons. They were warriors of the mind. They taught one truth above all. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius, echoed by Epictetus. They knew power wasn't about domination. It was about self-mastery, because when you control your emotions, your actions, your presence, you control every room you walk into. So if you want to become the kind of person who doesn't need to threaten to be feared, who doesn't need to explain to be understood, who doesn't need to speak to dominate the room, then this is your path. What this video will teach you in the next sections will break down 7 Stoic strategies that will make your presence stronger than any speech, any insult, any aggressive gesture. We'll talk about how to stay calm when others lose control, how to move in silence while others reveal their weakness, how to become unreadable and immune to emotional traps, how to master your image, control your energy, and speak through your actions. This is not theory. This is practical philosophy, battle-tested in the chaos of life, relationships, careers, and power struggles. You'll hear real stories. You'll learn real tactics, and you'll be given clear steps that you can apply today, no matter who you are or where you're starting. Why this matters now. More than ever, we live in an age of constant noise. People overshare. They overreact. They expose everything and guard nothing. They believe being loud equals being powerful. But true power comes from the opposite. It comes from walking into a room and commanding silence, looking someone in the eye and saying nothing, yet making them feel everything, knowing when to speak, and when your silence will say more. And that power doesn't belong to the loudest. It belongs to the most composed, the most disciplined, the most unreadable. A real example, the man who said nothing and got everything. There's a man I once met. We'll call him Daniel. He worked in a cutthroat corporate environment where everyone fought to be heard. Everyone tried to one-up each other in meetings, loud opinions flying across the table. But Daniel, he sat still, spoke last, observed everyone, and when he finally did speak, he said little, but every word carried weight. Why? Because he never reacted, never rushed, never showed his cards. One day, when a major leadership shakeup happened, everyone was shocked when Daniel was chosen to lead the team, but no one challenged it because every person in that room already felt his power, not through what he said, but through how little he needed to. This is the power. You can build. You don't need to be the loudest. You don't need to brag, shout, threaten, or explain yourself. You need to master your energy, control your expression, and embody quiet strength. That is what Stoicism teaches, not empty silence, but intentional stillness, not passivity, but calculated restraint, not apathy, but unshakable discipline, ready to begin. If you're tired of being emotionally predictable, if you're done giving away your energy to people who don't deserve it, if you want to walk into a room and shift the entire energy without saying a word, then you're in the right place. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming untouchable from the inside out, and it starts right here. Before we dive into the 7 strategies, take the first step. Subscribe to True Stoic Way, where power is built in silence and strength starts from within. Comment below, I choose calm over chaos. Let the world know you've entered a new phase of self-mastery. Share this video with someone who talks too much but says too little. This might be the wake-up call they need. This isn't just content. It's a code for those who are done chasing attention and are ready to command it. Let's begin. Strategy number 1, master your emotions, because predictability is weakness. He who angers you owns you. Ancient proverb, brutally true. Let's begin with the foundation of all power, emotional control. You can't dominate the battlefield if you're distracted by your own reactions. You can't lead a room, a team, or your own life if anyone can press your buttons and watch you fall apart. Let's make one thing clear. The easiest person to manipulate is the one who reacts too quickly. You may think your anger shows strength, but to an opponent it's nothing more than a roadmap, a blueprint of your weaknesses, a manual for how to control you, and if someone knows exactly how to rattle you, you've already lost. Why emotional reactivity is a liability. Imagine you're standing in a room with 10 people. 9 are shouting, arguing, defending, interrupting, and one is calm, still, focused. Who do you fear? Who do you respect? It's not the one yelling the loudest, it's the one who doesn't need to yell, because power isn't in volume, it's in control. The real story of Thomas, the man who refused to react. Let me introduce you to Thomas. He worked in a competitive corporate office where politics were a daily game. There was a colleague, let's call him Damon, who loved pushing people to their limit, undermining others in meetings, snide comments, passive-aggressive digs, whispers in hallways. Thomas used to react. He defended himself, raised his voice, tried to prove Damon wrong, and every time, Damon looked stronger. Thomas looked emotional, unstable, until one day, something changed. Thomas decided, I will no longer give this man the satisfaction of my reaction. From that day forward, Thomas became a wall. He didn't flinch when Damon poked. He didn't defend himself when Damon smirked. He simply stared, blinked, stayed silent. The shift was immediate. Damon's attacks became awkward. His jokes didn't land. People stopped laughing, because when the target doesn't respond, the weapon becomes useless. After a few weeks, Damon stopped altogether. Why? Because he had no leverage left. Thomas won, not by fighting back, but by removing the battlefield. The Stoic code. Calm is the highest form of power. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Marcus Aurelius, this isn't about being passive, it's about being untouchable. Stoicism teaches that emotion is not weakness unless you let it lead. Yes, you can feel, but you must never be ruled. The Stoic doesn't suppress anger, he observes it. He lets it pass like a storm through the sky. He chooses action, not impulse. That's the power of mastering your emotions. You don't lose your edge, you sharpen it, because when your enemy can't read you, can't provoke you, can't shake your calm, you become a threat they don't. Know how to handle emotional control is a skill, and it's trainable. You're not born with it. You build it. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you harden the armor, and soon the things that used to knock you off course, they don't even make you blink. Here's how to build that power. Tactical action plan. How to master your emotions. Step 1. Identify your triggers. You can't diffuse what you haven't identified. What makes you angry fast? What kind of comments instantly make you defensive? Who consistently brings out your worst? Don't justify the reactions. Just write them down. Awareness is the first weapon. When you know your triggers, they can't be used against you. Step 2. Interrupt the response. When the emotion starts rising, pause, take one slow breath. Clench your fists, then release. Count to 3 in your head. This isn't weakness. This is you refusing to give away your power. Every pause is a signal to your nervous system. I control this now. Step 3. Redefine strength. You've been lied to. You've been taught that strength means barking back, punching walls, proving your dominance in heat. But that's not strength. That's reaction. True power, holding eye contact without saying a word, standing still when everyone else is flailing, letting insults dissolve into silence. You don't prove strength, you embody it. Step 4. Reframe the enemy. They're not a threat, they're a test. Every person who tries to push your buttons is a mirror. They reveal where you still lack control, so use them, not to fight, but to refine. Each insult becomes an opportunity to practice calm. Each confrontation becomes a workout for your restraint. This is emotional weightlifting, and you are getting stronger. Step 5. Visualize victory before you enter the meeting, before you step into the room, before you respond to that message. Picture the version of you who is unmoved, unbothered, unbreakable. Feel their posture, their breath, their clarity. Then become them. Stoicism isn't a thought, it's a practice. Why this matters more than ever. In a world obsessed with outrage, instant reactions and public call-outs, calm is rebellion. Everyone else is predictable. You won't be. Everyone else is loud. You'll be still. Everyone else is quick to anger. You'll be slow to respond and terrifying in your silence. That's how you win. Not just the room, not just the confrontation, but your freedom. Because the person who controls their emotions controls everything. If you're ready to stop being triggered, if you're done handing your enemies the script to your reactions, if you're ready to become unreadable, untouchable, unstoppable, start now. Comment below, I control me. No one else does. Share this with someone who loses their temper too easily. They need this. Subscribe to True Stoic Way for the next strategy, because calm is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll talk about what it means to carry yourself like a shadow in the storm, silent, still, and impossible to ignore. Let's keep going. Strategy number 2. Maintain an unshakable presence. Let the room adjust to you. You don't need to speak to be heard. You don't need to move to be seen. Real presence is not performed, it's embodied. Now that you've mastered your emotions, it's time to master something even more subtle. Something few people talk about. Something that can either command a room or make you invisible inside it. Your presence. Because let's face it, you don't always get to choose your words. But you always control the energy you bring into a space. And in the game of influence, the person who commands the most respect is usually the one who says the least. The myth of loud confidence. People often confuse confidence with noise, bragging, boasting, taking up space by force, interrupting to be noticed. But those things scream insecurity, not strength. True confidence doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need approval. It radiates. It's quiet, composed, steady. And it doesn't flinch when the room gets loud. Because the person who walks into a room and doesn't need to prove anything, that's the person everyone watches. The real story of Ethan, the man who let silence speak. Let me tell you about Ethan. He wasn't charismatic in the traditional sense. He wasn't loud. He didn't crack jokes or dominate conversations. But when he walked into a room, people noticed. Not because of what he said, but because of how he carried himself. His posture was always upright. His steps were measured. He made eye contact without force. When he spoke, it was short, clear, intentional. And when he didn't speak, people still listened. Why? Because Ethan had presence. He didn't perform confidence. He embodied it. And that's what made him untouchable. Stoic wisdom. Power in stillness. Silence is a source of great strength. Lao Tzu echoed in Stoic thought. The Stoics knew that control of self is the ultimate expression of strength. They walked into the arena with nothing to prove because their character already did the talking. They didn't rush to fill silence. They used it. They didn't chase attention. They commanded it by not needing it. In a world obsessed with validation, your stillness is rebellion. And when you cultivate that unshakable presence, you become a person others instinctively respect, even fear. Why presence is power. Presence tells a story before you ever speak. It communicates without language. People read you faster than they listen to you. If your posture is anxious, they sense it. If your eyes dart, they see your insecurity. If your movements are rushed, they smell desperation. But if you are still, grounded, measured, people lean in. They quiet down. They adjust to you because in that moment they realize, this person is centered, and I am not. That's real power, and you don't have to say a word to get it. Tactical action plan: how to command a room without speaking. Step 1. Master your posture. Stand tall. Always. Head high, shoulders back, chest open, feet planted. This isn't about looking proud. It's about signaling, I belong here. Posture is the body's first language. Make sure yours speaks authority, not apology. Step 2. Move with intention. Every step you take should feel deliberate. Don't rush. Don't fidget. Don't over-gesture. When you move slowly, people notice. When you pause before you speak, people listen. Move like a lion in the tall grass, calm, in control, watching everything. Step 3. Use eye contact strategically. You don't need to stare, but you do need to be present. Look at the person speaking. Hold eye contact long enough to show confidence, but short enough to avoid ego. When someone talks to you, give them your full attention. That alone makes you magnetic. Step 4. Own the silence. Silence is not awkward unless you make it awkward. Use silence before you speak to increase tension. Use silence after you speak to amplify your words. When others rush to fill the air, let your silence speak louder. It tells the room, I'm not here to compete for attention. I'm here because I already own it. Step 5. Speak only when you mean it. Don't fill space with noise. Speak with clarity, with purpose, with restraint. Let others scramble to be heard. You'll speak when it matters, and that contrast makes your words heavy with impact. Why this matters? In a world full of shouting, showing off and oversharing, being unshakable is rare and priceless. When you develop presence, you no longer chase validation. You no longer explain yourself. You walk into every room knowing, if they don't respect me, they will, soon. Because presence isn't about impressing others. It's about owning who you are so completely that others can't ignore it. If you're done blending in, if you're done being invisible in the spaces you walk through, if you're ready to own the room without raising your voice, begin here. Comment below. My silence commands the room. Share this with someone who always tries too hard to be seen. They need this. Subscribe to True Stoic Way and continue building your quiet dominance with us. In the next strategy, we'll talk about the one thing that speaks louder than presence or posture: your actions. Let's continue. Strategy number 3. Let your actions speak. Talk less, prove more. Don't announce your greatness. Let your results do the talking. In a world obsessed with likes, promises, and public declarations, there's one thing people can't fake: consistent action. We live in an age where everyone is telling you who they are. I'm building something big. I'm going to change my life. I'll get serious starting Monday. But let's tell the truth. Words are cheap. They're easily spoken, easily forgotten, easily doubted. But actions are permanent. They leave a trail. They leave a legacy. They leave no room for debate. The power of doing over. Declaring, anyone can say they're disciplined. Anyone can talk about ambition. But few people are willing to shut up and do the work every single day. And here's what the world respects most: not the speech, not the plan, not the potential, but the one who shows up, delivers, builds in silence, and lets the results speak louder than anything they could post or preach. The real story of Jack, the man who went silent and let the work talk. Let's talk about Jack. Jack was a dreamer and a talker. He had ideas, big ones, and he told everyone about them: what he was building, where he was going, how his next move would be the one. People listened at first, but weeks passed, months passed. The results didn't match the talk. Soon, people stopped listening, until one day, Jack made a quiet decision. No more updates, no more explaining. I'll show them. And he did. Jack got up early, worked late, refused to waste energy on appearances, focused on effort, not attention. 3 months in, his business started to gain traction. 6 months later, people started asking him for advice. They were shocked. Wait, you're doing all that? Yes, he was, because this time he wasn't talking. He was proving. Stoic insight. Virtue is what you do, not what you say. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics believed that virtue, the highest form of personal power, was only real when it showed up in behavior. You don't have to convince others you're strong. You don't have to explain your character. You just live it. Talk is reactive. Action is proactive. And when your actions are aligned with discipline, resilience, and consistency, you don't need to prove anything. The evidence is all around you. Why this strategy is feared. Here's what most people don't realize: quiet action is terrifying to insecure people. They don't know what you're building. They can't measure you by your words. They don't know when you'll strike because you didn't tell them. You become unpredictable, focused, formidable, the kind of person others can't manipulate with flattery or criticism because you're too busy doing the work. Tactical. Action plan. How to let your actions speak louder than anything else. Step 1. Make your goals private. You don't need to announce your moves. The more people you tell, the more opinions you invite, and the more pressure you create. Keep your vision sacred. Keep it close. Build in silence. Step 2. Build a daily discipline ritual. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for permission. Build routines around action. Wake up early. Focus on execution. Track your progress quietly. Rituals breed results. And when you build enough days of forward movement, you won't have to explain yourself. You'll become undeniable. Step 3. Ignore the applause. Even when you earn it, the most dangerous trap for a person of action. Validation. The moment you crave it, you start performing again, talking again, delaying again. Stay grounded. Celebrate your wins privately. And always remember, you're not here to impress, you're here to impact. Step 4. Track output, not opinions. Measure what matters. Hours worked, value created. Skill developed, results produced. Don't count comments. Don't chase claps. Your scoreboard is made of action, not approval. Step 5. Be ruthless with consistency. Even one day of work without noise builds more momentum than a week of talking. Consistency compounds, and the moment you stop seeking attention, your results start attracting it on your terms. Why? This strategy changes everything. When you become a person of action, people respect your silence, enemies fear your next move, supporters trust your leadership, and most importantly, you trust yourself because you're no longer just dreaming about potential. You're embodying it, and no one, not critics, not doubters, not circumstances, can take that from you. If you're done over-explaining, if you're done being all talk, if you're ready to become someone whose results speak louder than anyone's doubts, then it's time. Comment below. I prove. I don't perform. Share this with someone who's stuck in the planning phase forever. Subscribe to True Stoic Way to learn the next power move. When the world insults you, say nothing and win everything. We continue next with strategy number 4. Never overreact to insults. Indifference is invincible. Let's keep building. Strategy number 4. Never overreact to insults. Indifference is invincible. Every time you react, you give someone else control. By now, you've mastered your emotions. You've built an unshakable presence. You've backed it up with silent, consistent action. But what happens when someone tries to shake that foundation? They throw words, insults, passive-aggressive digs. They bait you, waiting for a reaction. And here's where most people fail. They take the bait. The moment they respond emotionally, they hand over power to the person who triggered them. Let me say this plainly. The person who reacts the most is the person who loses first. Why reaction is surrender. When you defend yourself, when you raise your voice, when you try to clear the air or prove them wrong, you're not protecting your power, you're bleeding it out. Because now the conversation is no longer about what they said, it's about how you responded, and your reaction becomes the story. So ask yourself, do I want to win the moment or win the game? Because when you choose silence over reaction, you choose command over chaos. The real story of Linda, the woman who broke the loop. Let's talk about Linda. She was a professional, respected in her field, but there was always that co-worker, the one who'd make sarcastic remarks in meetings, throw passive-aggressive jabs, laugh at her ideas in front of others. Linda tried everything. She stood up for herself, tried to argue back, tried to win the room with logic, but each time she fought back, the insults kept coming, worse than before, until she stopped. One day, Linda made a decision. I won't respond again. So when the next jab came, she didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She just stared, with silence. The jab hung in the air, awkward, empty, and everyone in the room felt it. A few more attempts. Silence again. Eventually, the jab stopped, because Linda took away the audience, the reaction, the fuel. She didn't win by defending her pride. She won by withdrawing her energy. Stoic insight: you are not what they say. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus: the Stoics weren't emotionless. They were unshakable. They understood that no insult can touch you unless you let it inside. So when someone mocks you, lies about you, humiliates you, that's not your reputation. That's their reflection. You're not obligated to clean it up. When you let insults slide off you like rain on stone, you show the world something most people will never understand. You are immune to noise. What happens when you don't react? The insulter loses momentum. The audience starts questioning them, not you. You conserve energy, focus, and dignity. You train your nervous system to stay calm under fire. This isn't avoidance. It's warrior-level self-control. You've already won the moment you become unreachable by petty attacks. Tactical action plan: how to master the art of indifference. Step 1. Pause before you respond. When the insult hits, your body will react first. Adrenaline, tightness, heat. Don't speak. Don't defend. Don't explain. Just breathe. Let the first wave pass. Silence is your shield. Stillness is your weapon. Step 2. Practice the inner phrase. Have a go-to internal phrase. Repeat it when provoked. Try: this is not about me. Don't respond to noise. Stillness is my advantage. Mantras may sound soft, but they're mental armor in hostile spaces. Step 3. Use body language to speak. You don't need words. Eye contact, slight smile, slow blink, a single raised eyebrow. That's all it takes to say, "You can try, you won't break me." Let their attempt bounce off the fortress of your calm. Step 4. Exit with power. Sometimes silence isn't enough. If the environment becomes toxic, remove yourself, but do it without storming out, without slamming doors, without speeches. Stand up. Leave. Let your absence speak volumes. You don't owe your energy to chaos. Step 5. Reflect. Don't rehearse after the moment passes. Don't replay it endlessly in your head. Don't imagine what you should have said. Don't fantasize about comebacks. Don't let the insult live longer than it deserves. Journal your thoughts, then let it go. You stayed calm. That's the victory. Don't relive the war. Why this strategy destroys your enemy's power: insults are fishing lines. They're looking for a bite. When you refuse to bite, you leave the hook dangling. Useless. And here's the hidden truth. People who insult you publicly want control. They want dominance. They want your reaction. Take that away, and they crumble, because now you're unpredictable. Now they don't know what you'll do. Now they look petty while you remain poised, and that's the ultimate win. If you're done being baited, if you're done letting insults hijack your energy, if you're ready to become untouchable in the face of provocation, then now is the moment. Comment below: my silence is power. Share this with someone who keeps falling into emotional traps. They need a new strategy. Subscribe to True Stoic Way for the next lesson. Control what they know about you and become impossible to manipulate. We continue next with strategy number 5. Control what they know about you. Power lies in mystery. Stay sharp, stay calm, stay stoic. Strategy number 5. Control what they know about you. Power lies in mystery. The less they know, the more they wonder. The more they wonder, the less they control. Let's face it, in a world obsessed with exposure, where everyone shares everything and people wear their lives on display, Predictability has become weakness. If people know your next move, your triggers, your desires, your fears, they can use them against you. Information isn't just knowledge anymore. It's currency, it's leverage, and in the wrong hands, it's a weapon. So here's the truth. The more you reveal, the easier you are to read. The easier you are to read, the easier you are to manipulate. That's why silence isn't just a defense mechanism, it's a strategic advantage. The real story of Chris, the man who stopped sharing and took back his power. Let's talk about Chris. He was open. Too open. At work, he shared everything. His goals, his insecurities, his frustrations, his dreams. He believed transparency built trust. But it backfired. Colleagues used his vulnerabilities against him. When he admitted struggling with a project, they labeled him unreliable. When he talked about burnout, they excluded him from opportunities. When he voiced big goals, they quietly positioned themselves to beat him to them. Then Chris went quiet. No announcements, no venting, no oversharing. He became calm, private, selective, and something shifted. People respected him more. They couldn't anticipate his next move. They couldn't exploit what they didn't know. Chris didn't become cold. He became calculated. That's the power of controlled visibility. Why oversharing is a trap most people share to feel seen. But in doing so, they expose their weaknesses, their plans, their emotional patterns, and manipulators love that. They listen, they wait, then they strike. Tell me your pain, and I'll know exactly how to push you. Oversharing turns your private world into public strategy. And once someone knows your internal map, they don't need to guess where to hit. They already have the coordinates. Stoic strategy: appear weak when you are strong. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Sun Tzu, a principle Stoics lived by. The Stoics understood that the fewer people who truly know your mind, the safer you are, not out of fear, but out of tactical intelligence. They didn't broadcast their thoughts. They didn't explain their every move. They cultivated an image of deliberate unpredictability, and in doing so, they stayed 3 steps ahead. Always. You can do the same. Tactical action plan: how to master controlled mystery step. 1. Stop explaining everything you. Don't owe anyone a play-by-play. When someone asks, "What's next for you? Why did you do that? What are you planning?" Try saying, "Still figuring it out. Nothing worth sharing yet. I'm just staying focused." These aren't lies. They're boundaries. Let them guess. Let them wonder. Let them watch your results, not your drafts. Step 2. Share with strategy, not emotion. If you must share, share with purpose. Ask yourself, does this person need to know? Will this serve or sabotage me? Am I venting or am I informing? Speak less from impulse, more from intention. Remember, your inner world is sacred. Don't hand it out like cheap advice. Step 3. Journal instead of broadcasting feeling the need to share. Write it down. Keep a journal. Let your private thoughts stay private. Your healing, your planning, your growth. None of it needs a social media post or office chat to be real. The more you anchor your self-awareness internally, the less external validation you'll ever need. Step 4. Be selectively transparent. Transparency isn't the enemy. Recklessness is. Build an inner circle. 1, 2, maybe 3 people who've earned your trust. Share with them, deeply, authentically, wisely. But outside that circle, operate in stealth mode. Speak in headlines, not pages. Speak in principles, not confessions. Step 5. Use silence as leverage. When people can't read you, they project. Some will underestimate you. Let them. That's power. Some will fear you. Let them. That's advantage. Some will try to provoke you. Stay quiet. That's control. The unpredictable man is the most dangerous one in the room. Why this strategy builds power. You don't have to defend. Controlling what others know about you keeps your emotions safe, keeps your goals protected, keeps your opponents guessing, keeps your energy focused, and most importantly, it eliminates leverage. Because if there's nothing to use against you, then no one can shake you. You become a vault, not cold, not distant, just impenetrable. If you're done being an open book, if you're tired of being predictable, if you're ready to become mysterious, composed, and unreadable, start now. Comment below. What they don't know, they can't use. Share this with someone who overshares out of habit. They need to see the cost. Subscribe to True Stoic Way to master the next move. Make power moves in silence and let results shock the world. Up next, strategy number 6. Make power moves in silence. Success is the loudest sound you never make. Stay hidden, stay focused, stay powerful. Strategy number 6. Make power moves in silence. Let success speak. Announce nothing. Execute everything. There's a reason the most successful people rarely talk about what they're working on. And it's not because they're secretive, it's because they're strategic. When you talk too much, you give people the chance to interfere. When you share too soon, you invite judgment, doubt, and distraction. When you overspeak your vision, it loses power and you lose focus. Every move you announce is a move you weaken, but when you move in silence, deliberate, focused, relentless, the world has no choice but to recognize you after the results are undeniable. That's real power. The real story of Emma, from over-announcing to outperforming. Let me tell you about Emma. She had vision, ambition, and a big heart. Every time she had a new plan, she'd tell everyone, "I'm starting a business. I'm launching a new product. I've got something huge coming." At first, people were excited, supportive. But as months went by, Emma struggled to gain momentum. She spent more time talking about what she would do than executing what she needed to do, and the feedback, it started to change. "You're always starting something. We'll see if this one works out. You should focus more." It hit her. She was broadcasting her goals and creating pressure, noise, and vulnerability in the process. So Emma went silent. No announcements, no updates, no social media hints, just pure execution. She showed up every day, built in silence, and focused on impact. 6 months later, the product launched. The revenue came, the people noticed, but this time it wasn't about hype. It was about proof. Emma learned the rule. You don't need to announce the storm. Let them hear the thunder. Stoic principle. Embody, don't explain. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus, the Stoics didn't post vision boards. They didn't announce every internal shift. They simply lived the change, moved with integrity, and let outcomes tell the story. Why? Because real power doesn't come from promises, it comes from proof. The more you live your principles, the less you need to explain them. Why quiet moves? Work silent execution does 3 things. Protects your energy, less distraction, more focus, disarms your critics. Nothing to attack if there's nothing to see. Increases your impact. The surprise effect makes success 10 times louder, because while everyone else is broadcasting their next step, you're already 5 moves ahead, unseen, unbothered, and unstoppable. Tactical action plan, how to move quietly and win loudly. Step 1. Lock your vision. Down, have a plan? Good. Now guard it. Don't leak your goals. Don't fish for praise. Don't ask for validation from people who don't share your discipline. Hold your ambition close. let it marinate in silence. Step 2. Create a no-share zone. Build a rule. Until it's real, it's private. Whether it's a new habit, a project, a financial goal, or a relationship decision, keep it off the table until it's on the scoreboard. This protects you from doubters' unsolicited opinions, emotional sabotage. Let your vision breathe without interruption. Step 3. Commit to daily action. Quietly. The less you talk, the more you do. Set daily actions. Keep track. Measure momentum, not attention. You don't need to prove anything to the world today. You just need to be consistent, silently, ruthlessly consistent. Step 4. Let results speak loudly. When it's ready, let it drop. Let the success speak for itself. Let people ask how you did it. Let the execution tell the story your mouth never had to, and when they ask why you didn't say anything sooner, smile and say, "I was focused." Step 5. Rinse and repeat. This isn't a one-time tactic, it's a lifestyle. The more you live by this rule, the more trust you build, in yourself and from others. People stop doubting you. Why? Because you don't talk anymore, you deliver. Why this strategy makes you impossible to stop. Loud goals invite noise. Silent execution eliminates it. People can't sabotage what they don't see. They can't challenge what they can't anticipate. They can't block what's already been built behind closed doors. You move like water, quiet, adaptable, unstoppable, and when the results hit, they hit hard because no one saw them coming. If you're tired of oversharing, if you're done performing progress instead of making it, if you're ready to let results speak so loudly they silence everyone around you, then start now. Comment below. I build in silence. I let success speak. Share this with someone who leaks every plan before it's even started. Subscribe to True Stoic Way and prepare for our final strategy. Be unapologetically yourself. When you stop fitting in, you become untouchable. The most dangerous people aren't the loudest. They're the ones you never saw coming. Stay focused, stay quiet, stay inevitable. Strategy number 7. Be unapologetically yourself. When you stop seeking approval, you become untouchable. You become dangerous the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. Let's end this with the hardest and most liberating truth of all. You don't need to be liked to be respected. You don't need to be accepted to be powerful. You don't need to fit in to stand tall. The moment you stop adjusting who you are to meet the expectations of others, you stop being controlled by them. Because here's the truth. Most people avoid. Every time you water yourself down to make others comfortable, you lose a little more of your power, and those who fear judgment the most are often the ones living the furthest from who they really are. The real story of Jake, from pleaser to powerhouse. Let's talk about Jake. He was the nice guy, the peacekeeper, the one who never said no. At work, he agreed with everyone, even when he disagreed inside. In social settings, he laughed at jokes he didn't find funny. He dressed to blend in. He spoke to avoid conflict. He played small to make others feel big, and the worst part, he resented himself for it. One night, after yet another event where he kept his mouth shut to keep the peace, Jake looked in the mirror and couldn't answer a simple question. Who am I? When? I'm not trying to please everyone. That question broke him, but it also rebuilt him. He started small. He said no to things he didn't want to do. He shared opinions without checking the room first. He started dressing, speaking, acting like himself without apology, and something incredible happened. People respected him more. He attracted new energy, the ones who only liked the pleaser version of him. They drifted away. Good riddance. Jake didn't lose connection. He lost conditional acceptance and gained authentic respect. Stoic wisdom. Live by your standards, not theirs. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus, the Stoics, taught one principle above all: live by virtue, not by applause. They didn't seek validation. They didn't perform morality for attention. They simply lived in alignment with their values, calm, consistent, clear, and that made them untouchable. Because when you stop needing permission to be who you are, you can't be manipulated. The opinions of others become data, not direction. You listen, sure, but you choose your path on your own terms. Why? Approval is a silent prison. The need for approval feels safe, but it's a leash. It keeps you, polishing your words instead of speaking your truth, hiding your edge so no one feels uncomfortable, living for others while forgetting your own fire. But once you cut that leash, once you own who you are, flaws and all, you become immune to public opinion. You don't fear rejection because you no longer reject yourself to gain acceptance. And that's freedom. Tactical action plan: how to live without apology. Step 1. Stop asking for permission. You don't need a vote to be yourself. You don't need consensus to take up space. Next time you feel the urge to check in before expressing yourself, don't just speak, just move, just do. You don't need a round of applause for living in alignment. Step 2. Identify what you've been hiding. Ask yourself, what part of me do I downplay to fit in? What do I silence just to avoid conflict? What would I do differently if I didn't care what others think? Name it. Write it down. Then take one bold step to reclaim it. Step 3. Choose integrity. Over-image. Every decision you make is a fork in the road. One path leads to who you really are. The other leads to who others want you to be. Choose integrity, even if it costs popularity, because self-respect is non-negotiable. Step 4. Own your uniqueness. You weren't meant to blend in. You weren't built to be generic. The things that make you different, that's your edge. Stop apologizing for it. Start using it. You are not for everyone, and that's the point. Step 5. Build your inner circle based on truth. Once you stop pretending, you'll lose a few people. Good. What remains will be real, loyal, respectful of who you are, not who you pretend to be. That's your tribe. Build it on truth, not performance. Why this strategy makes you unshakable. When you no longer live for applause, you stop chasing attention, you stop fearing criticism, you become a force of nature, centered, clear, commanding. People respect those who don't bend to fit. They admire those who don't explain their truth. And they fear those who cannot be guilted, shamed, or controlled. That can be you, but it starts when you stop apologizing for who you are. If you're done hiding, if you're tired of performing, if you're ready to walk in truth without asking for permission, then this is your moment. Comment below, I no longer shrink to fit. Share this with someone who's forgotten their real self in the name of approval. Subscribe to True Stoic Way and prepare for the final chapter, a conclusion that ties all 7 silent strategies into one unbreakable way of life. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be whole. Conclusion: the most dangerous power, mastery of self. Real power isn't about controlling others. It's about being untouchable because you control yourself. Let's stop pretending. You don't win in life by being the loudest, the flashiest, or the most reactive. You win by becoming unshakable, and that kind of power, it doesn't come from the outside. It doesn't depend on others. It comes from within, from discipline, from clarity, from choosing self-command over self-display. Because when you can master your reactions, control your presence, move in silence, and live unapologetically, you become the most dangerous person in any room. Recap: the 7 silent power moves. Let's remind ourselves of the armor you've now built. 1. Master your emotions, because the easiest person to control is the one who can't control themselves. 2. Maintain an unshakable presence. Let the room adjust to your calm, not your chaos. 3. Let your actions speak. Don't promise. Don't explain. Just show up and make it undeniable. 4. Never overreact to insults. Your silence is your weapon. Your indifference is their defeat. 5. Control what they know about you. Be unreadable. Mystery is the strongest form of defense. 6. Make power moves in silence. Let results drop like thunder. Let success make the noise. 7. Be unapologetically yourself. You don't need their approval. You only need your integrity. This is not a game of domination. It's a path of evolution. The goal isn't to crush others. The goal is to become someone who cannot be manipulated, provoked, or predicted. And that, in today's world, is a superpower. Why this path is so rare and so feared. Most people chase control outwardly. They try to manage opinions, win arguments, seek approval, prevent conflict. But all of that, it's noise, because if you don't own yourself, someone else will. If your emotions are easy to trigger, if your plans are always exposed, if your identity changes with the room you walk into, then you're not living in your own power. You're living in someone else's reflection. The Stoic Way flips that entirely. It teaches to act with intent, not impulse, to be still when the world is loud, to be firm when the crowd is fickle, to be enough even when no one sees, and once you live like that, you become untouchable. Stoicism is not silence. It's self-sovereignty. Let's clarify something. This isn't about being cold, or distant, or passive. Stoicism isn't about retreating. It's about reclaiming your emotional control, reclaiming your voice by speaking less and meaning more, reclaiming your privacy by making your moves count, reclaiming your identity by no longer asking for validation. It's not about suppressing who you are. It's about finally owning it without needing applause. Let silence be your sword. You don't need to threaten anyone. Walk in silence, work in silence, succeed in silence. And let that silence cut deeper than any insult ever could, because when people can't predict you, they fear you. When they can't shake you, they respect you. And when they can't define you, they watch you from a distance, carefully. You didn't declare power. You embodied it. Let stillness be your strength. You don't need to prove how powerful you are. Your calm will make them hesitate. Your presence will make them think twice. Your confidence will make them wonder what they don't know about you, and that's where you win. Not by raising your voice, but by raising your standard. Not by being seen, but by being unignorable, even in stillness. What you do now defines everything. You've just learned 7 of the most quietly lethal strategies you'll ever need. They don't require money. They don't require permission. They don't require anything but your willingness to stop being emotionally available to the wrong people. The only question now is, will you practice this? Or will you perform for the world again tomorrow? Because the world will still be loud. It will still tempt you to react, to prove, to please, to explain. But you now have a choice. Fall back into the noise or become the calm force that silences it. This isn't just information. This is your invitation to step off the stage of performance and step into the inner circle of the Stoic elite, where power isn't a show, it's a presence. If that's what you want, then do this. Comment below. I choose self-mastery. Let this be the line in the sand. Share this video with someone who's been performing their strength instead of building it. Subscribe to True Stoic Way, because here we don't just talk about discipline, presence, and silence. We live it every day. True Stoic Way, your final reminder. Don't say you are powerful. Be so still that the world can't move you. Be the presence that enters a room without words and leaves with more respect than anyone shouting could ever earn. Be the one who smiles while the rest rage, who stays grounded while others fall apart, who moves quietly and wins completely. That's Stoic power, and this is your path now.